You're going to use oil and acrylic paper to do this exercise. First thing you're going to do is give yourself a 1/4 inch border all the way around so you know where to line up your tape. Use the see-through rulers so that you can align the edge directly underneath the grid lines, and then you brace your finger over the top so the paper doesn't slide and draw your lines in pencil. Then you're going to use the frog tape, which is a multi-surface tape. You're going to measure out the length you need a little longer than the paper. You'll rip it from the roll first, and then using both fingers and pulling the tape taut, you'll line up the edge of the tape with the border line that you've just drawn. You'll tack down the edges, and then you're going to press from the middle out. This ensures that the bubbles and warps smooth out under your paper. Move to the opposite side next and do the same thing. Measure a little longer than the length you need, and then tape down each edge onto your drawing board. Then you're going to take the ruler and you're going to line it up with the ends aligned with the edges of your paper, and you're going to measure at each inch. Then, rotating your ruler vertically, you'll line up with the edge of the paper, not the tape, and then you'll draw a vertical line down at every inch mark. You'll do this the entire length of the paper. You'll use the frog tape, and you can tape it down directly into those columns that you've made, because the frog tape is 1 inch exactly. Now we're going to make a stay wet palette. You've got a foam tray, you've got a shop towel, and you've got a piece of wax paper. You're going to get the shop towel nice and wet, squeeze out a little bit so it's not dripping, and then you're going to carefully unravel it and lay it down as flat as you can into your foam tray. You'll need to fold in one of the edges in order to make it fit. Be gentle with this because wet paper rips easily. After it's flat, you put the wax paper on top, and then this is going to serve as a stay wet palette that'll keep your paint wet and workable for a couple of days when it's been covered. All right, then when you're ready to mix, you're going to take a little bit on your paintbrush from your palette, your stay wet palette, and you're going to put it on that wax paper, which is your mixing surface. And you see how you just kind of go back and forth, pressing the paint together until it's one nice even color. And then you can paint that directly onto your surface. Pre-mix up your colors on your mixing palette before you paint them onto your surface. Acrylic paint dries so quickly, and so it's really hard to get it to blend on your paper. So that's why you want to pre-mix it. When it's wet, you can get it to kind of mix on your paper, but it dries quickly, so it's going to become tacky really quickly. Here I'm just adding more and more white to this kind of cadmium red, and getting it lighter and lighter until it's almost pure white on one end and then the pure color on the other end. I'm grabbing a piece of newsprint here. This is going to be my drop cloth or my scratch paper, and this lets me wipe off as much excess paint as possible before rinsing it off and then going to my next color that I'm going to start mixing. I don't want to mix my colors together because that would make them kind of muddy and it would change the color that I want. I want to see straight out of the tube. Again, I pre-mix up this kind of quinacridone magenta on my mixing palette with the white. And then I add in more and more of that pure color straight from the tube in order to get it really vibrant and pure at one end. And then on the other end, I mix in more and more and more white. This very end, I'm just adding straight white, jumping straight into that light value of the quinacridone magenta and trying to get it to blend a little bit. After wiping off the excess paint, then I rinse it in the tub by dragging it on the bottom of the tub, scraping it on the edge, and then wringing it out with my rag. Make sure as you go that you label the colors because it's going to start getting confusing and it's easy to forget. Once my 2 strips are completely dry, I can very carefully peel up this tape, and you see that I've got my nice clean column there in the middle. I'm going to reuse the tape because it's expensive and I don't want to just blow through it. Once the paint layer is totally dry, I can put paint down over the top of it so that, again, I'm getting that nice clean edge between all of my strips of color. Here I'm mixing up my third color. I just jump straight in. Some colors are a little more transparent, and you might have to let one layer completely dry and then go over it a second time. All right, I'm ready to pack up, so I'm spritzing my paint and then putting plastic over the top, pressing it down,